Hello and a warm welcome to World This Week by latestlaws.com. This is a weekly program, so hit the bell icon to get notification for new videos. My name is Sheetal Joon, Associate Editor, latestlaws.com, and let's begin with Supreme Court this week. This week, the Supreme Court, in a significant ruling, banned the two-finger test performed on the victims of sexual assault and warned that those indulging in such test will be held guilty of misconduct. A division bench of Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice Hima Kohli ordered the removal of the two-finger test from study materials in medical colleges, saying that the unscientific, invasive method of examining rape survivors re-traumatizes the victim and is based on patriarchal notion. The top court has remarked that Constitution of India envisages Bharat as a secular nation and fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and unity and the integrity of the country is guiding principle enshrined in the preamble, and thus directed the Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand governments to take action on hate speeches. The court ordered that the police forces to take suo motu action against hate speeches, disregarding the religion of the offender. The Supreme Court bench, comprising of Justice Surya Kant and Justice J.B. Pardiwala, has set aside a Kerala High Court order granting anticipatory bail to an accused under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012, holding that anticipatory bail cannot be granted merely because custodial interrogation is not required. The Apex Court has sought responses from the Centre and the Election Commission on a PIL challenging the constitutional validity of a provision of the Representation of People Act which bars prisoners from voting. The Supreme Court has ruled that DNA test can be violative of privacy rights and can't be directed as a matter of course. It thus observed that court should therefore examine the proportionality of the legitimate aims being pursued, that is, whether the same are not arbitrary or discriminatory, whether they have any adverse impact on the person, and that they justify the encroachment upon the privacy and personal autonomy of the person being subjected to the DNA test. The Apex Court has adjourned petition challenging the Citizenship Amendment Act (CAA) to December 6, 2022. The bench, comprising of Chief Justice U.U. Lalit, Justice Ravindra Bhatt and Justice Bella M. Trivedi, has picked the issue raised by the Indian Union Muslim League as the lead matter in the case. Next we have Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court has dismissed the petition of a judiciary aspirant who failed the Delhi Higher Judicial Service Examination 2022 in the interview stage by minimal margin and prayed for a direction to declare him qualifying, noting that the rules prohibit rounding off of the marks. The single judge bench of the Delhi High Court has upheld that when an individual is absconding and evading execution of warrants, he may not be entitled to grant of anticipatory bail. The division bench of the Delhi High Court has upheld that mere filing of VAT returns cannot be held to establish genuineness of the transactions, especially when it was not shown that the VAT department had made a physical or spot inquiry. The Delhi High Court, in petition seeking direction to Centre for including homeopathic medicine for treatment of COVID-19 infections, has held that homeopathic medicines are very effective and large number of people throughout the globe are availing homeopathic treatment. But in case of pandemic, which protocol must be issued has to be left to the discretion of the government. Now let's have an overview of other high courts. The Karnataka High Court, while deliberating on evidentiary value of digital information, has rejected the argument that the Google search can disclose with certainty that someone has cheated and stated that it does not have any legal evidentiary value. The Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh High Court has ruled that once a marriage is validly dissolved by a competent foreign court, the domestic relationship between the parties as husband and wife, which is required to invoke the Domestic Violence Act, ceases. The Uttarakhand High Court has held that in a contract between contractor and the state, release of fees from the central government is an internal matter between the state and central government, and the contractor is entitled to this full payment within a stipulated time period. The Bombay High Court has observed that the nature of property cannot be permitted to be changed, and for avoiding multiplicity of proceedings, temporary injunction has to be granted for restraining further alienation during pendency of an appeal or proceeding only if the parties has come up with clean hand. The Kerala High Court has declared that the right to terminate the marriage at the instance of a Muslim wife is an absolute right, conferred by the Holy Quran, and is subject to the acceptance or the will of her husband. The division bench in the ruling also remarked that courts are manned by trained legal minds and viewpoint of Islamic priests who lack knowledge in legal sciences is not binding on them. The Madhya Pradesh High Court has held that a writ of habeas corpus cannot be issued against an individual residing outside the territory of India. The division bench in this view dismissed a petition for securing the custody of 7-month-old girl child who was under the custody of her father in Netherlands. A single judge bench of the Orissa High Court, while dismissing a writ petition, reiterated that the Supreme Court judgment addressing the status of notices under the Finance Act 2021. A distinction was made between notices issued on or after 1st April 2021 and those issued prior to it, and permission was granted to continue proceedings only in those issued on or after terms of the amendment provision. The Allahabad High Court has notably held that unpaid maintenance under Section 125 CRPC can be recovered as area of land revenue. The single judge bench of Justice J.J. Munir was of the view that the provision of Section 125(3) and Section 421 read co-jointly confirms magistrate's jurisdiction to enforce an order of maintenance by issuing a warrant to the collector of recovering the defaulted maintenance as areas of land revenue. Moving on to miscellaneous news. A Delhi High Court has held that an accused could not be forced to provide the password of his electronic gadgets, including mobile and computer, after they were seized by an investigating agency, as it may amount to compelling him to give self-incriminating testimony. Invoking the Supreme Court verdict in the case of narco-analysis or lie detection test, in which the court has held that such procedure invoked personal knowledge of the accused and it can't be done without the nod of special judge, said that the same logic applies to a password and it also involves import of personal knowledge. Legal proceedings has begun in tragic Morbi Bridge collapse incidents in which allegedly 135 people lost their lives. The accused company Oreva has submitted in the court that it was an act of God. The Gujarat High Court has quashed the first ever FIR registered under the state's anti-jihad law against a Muslim man, his parents and priest following a settlement. The Allahabad High Court has remarked that Section 149 IPC is one of the most misused and misinterpreted provision of the present times so far as the investigation by the investigating officers of police or any other investigating agency of crime is concerned. In a notable move, the Supreme Court has upheld the constitutional validity of the Employees' Pension Amendment Scheme of 2014 but quashed the threshold limit of Rs 15,000 monthly salary for joining the pension fund. The Patiala House Court of Delhi has ruled that courts are duty-bound to record all the proceedings and the evidence along with the details of the case in Hindi if the parties or witnesses request so or the need arises. The Supreme Court judges has recently expressed displeasure over non-listing of matters despite court order, noting that registrars are not above the court. Justice Ajay Rastogi warned of stern action. CJI UU Lalit has also taken note of the issue arising frequently. The centre government has officially notified changes to the Information Technology Rules of 2021, paving way for the setting up of one more centrally appointed grievance appellate committees. In the end, we have international news. Twitter has been sued over Elon Musk's plan to lay off about half of the workforce. A class action lawsuit has been filed in San Francisco federal court for the same. Robert Solis, the man convicted of murdering Sandeep Dhaliwal, the first turbaned Indian American Sikh police officer in the US state of Texas, while making a traffic stop in 2019, has been sentenced to death. Brazil's Supreme Court has voted to uphold a decision by the Superior Electoral Court to fast-track the removal of fake news from social media. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. This is a weekly program, and to get more information, please check the description box, and for weekly updates, like and subscribe to our channel.